feeling like having a little bit of peace and quiet today. There's a hill behind the house, and it leads down to the woods, which is where I'm at. Came down here and raked up a pile of dead leaves and cleared a path and laid down some rocks and started a fire. It's a little windy, and my logs are a little wet, so I'm getting a lot more smoke than I normally would. But it's nice. It's starting to turn pretty cold here in Ohio. The grass is still green, the sun is still shining, the skies are still blue. But the days are cold, or getting cold, and the nights are very cold. So it felt like fire time. So I lit 2 fires. This is a little Frogmorton across the pond. In the little Peterson. The Peterson pot, my first pipe, my first real pipe. Thinking about the last time I started a fire, or made a campfire. Whoa, wind change right in my face. So, sorry about that. The last time I started a campfire was in Seattle at 1 in the morning on Alki Beach. My friends and I, some friends my age, most of my friends are older. I get along a lot better with older people because I'm a bit of an old man. I've always been inside a bit of an old man. I like older things. I like more mature things. Pipe smoking, for example. But I was with some friends my own age. It was my birthday. And we decided to go to the beach at like 11 o'clock at night. And around 11:30 or 10:30 was when we got there, and around 11 or 11:30 the police showed up and told everybody to get off the beach, which I think is pretty stupid. It's a public place. Legally, I can't think of a good reason for them to keep you off a beach at night. Now I don't know what the reasoning is, and I didn't really ask. But we got in the car and parked around the block and waited until the authorities left, and then we snuck back onto the beach, dug a hole in the sand, and took some firewood out of the trunk of the car and started a fire, and we stayed on the beach from that night, like midnight, until 5 in the morning, huddled around this fire. It was wonderful. Really quiet. We didn't really talk, we just sort of kept the fire, and we're just sort of together. And it strikes me, or it struck me then, that sometimes when you're with the right people, you don't need to talk. Especially around a fire. There's something very caveman about a fire. Not necessarily caveman specifically, but it's a touchstone to that time, to a bygone era in the early stages of man, where fire was our protector. It, provided us heat, it provided us light, it provided us warmth, scared away animals. It was more than just, let's go light a fire. It was everything. Fire was everything in the early stages for man. And when you're around people that you know, that you're really close with, and there's a fire, it's almost like you come into contact with that part of your ancient DNA that puts you in touch with the fire and nature and your fellow person. And you can just be. And I spent a lot of time with these people. We've done a lot of things. We've gone and seen a lot of things, and went to events and restaurants and all kinds of things. Spent a lot of time with them. And hands down, all of us agree, most fun we've ever had together was that night on the beach where we just sat around the fire, kept it going, and we're just together. It raises interesting questions about togetherness, about what constitutes friendship, about what you need in friendship. Communication is important, but when you've passed the threshold where you know each other so well, or you get to spend enough time with someone where you kind of understand each other, sometimes you don't need words. And there's something magic in that, I think. As is in fire, because if you think about it, it's been said by a lot of people, but technology, no matter how simple or complicated, to someone who's not familiar with it, looks like magic. And early man probably thought that fire was magic in the beginning. At least they didn't understand it. It probably seemed like it was of their world. And even now, eons later, there is something about fire that captivates us. We go camping, we light a fire, we cook over it, we keep warm by it. Even in this, we light fires. The flame, in keeping it and nurturing it, I feel, in some ways, you're keeping and nurturing a part of yourself. That could just be me. And I could be romanticizing it a little bit. But it just makes sense. It just makes sense to me. And there is a subtle, quiet joy in lighting a fire or lighting a pipe that I really appreciate. Anyway, I thought I would share that. there's something almost hypnotic, meditative, maybe even, about smoking a pipe or keeping a fire. It's not a complicated task. But you sort of get in the zone, and your mind sort of goes to another place. Especially with a pipe, because your brain is occupied with keeping it lit, tending the flame in a small way, and the rest of your brain is hopefully occupied with tasting the tobacco and trying to get as much out of it as you can. And for me, it ushers in a very deep peace that I don't normally come across, because I'm a chaotic person. I'm very passionate, I'm very emotional. I think a lot about a lot of different things. I'm very scattered, constantly thinking. Hyperactively thinking about everything. Overthinking. And this interrupts the small part of my brain that causes whatever that is, that need to constantly think and obsess, that intense, emotional process in my body and my brain, and forces me to sort of chill out and relax. And that's a good thing, because haste makes waste, and patience is a virtue. And to some people, including myself, it's not one that comes easily. So, I'm grateful that I can sort of cheat and steal some peace. Borrow patience from wherever it comes from, and slow down a little bit. I want to say thank you to my subscribers. You guys, I think there are almost 40 of you now. And I really am grateful that you find this worthwhile enough to tune in every once in a while and see how I'm getting along. And I hope you're getting as much out of every pipeful as I am. Some guys just smoke pipes because they like the taste of the tobacco, and they don't get anything more from it, and that's okay. But for me, it's a transformative experience, because it is literally the only thing I can do to slow down. And if you get half of what I get from pipe smoking out of it, then you should be in good shape.